Hello, hi everybody. This is Adele Farhadian. I'm here to talk to you about Project Sanity, especially in the security world, and how I've learned to do this, and maybe hopefully it becomes something that you would like to do as well. We don't have so much time today together, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So, yeah. Project Sanity Check. That's the name of this talk, and I just wanted to start by telling you a little bit about myself. Obviously, my name is Adele Farhadian, and you probably have seen my bio already in the registration and everything else on the schedules of BSides Vancouver. But in any case, I'll give you just a little short background. I've been in security for almost 16 years now, in cybersecurity slash compliance slash governance slash vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, all kinds of stuff. And I've had my own company, my own incorporation company since 2015. It's called InfoSec Assured. And I've served many clients, mostly public companies, government, and sometimes also like smaller private companies. I've also worked with some very unique startups that we're just getting their SaaS products and stuff like that. And I have my own MBA, so this talk is also geared towards some business discussions in security. I have a whole bunch of certifications like CISSP, CCSP, GWAP, CH, a whole bunch of stuff. I've got 2 cats. They're crazy. They're all over the place right now, so they may jump on my lap at any time. I also do some acting. I don't know if you care about it at all or not, but I thought, it makes it a bit personal. Okay, so yeah, this is a silent problem, I think, that a lot of times happens where the goal or the objective of the actual initiative gets lost in translation or throughout the time or the lifetime of the project, or it just gets miscommunicated sometimes. There's a lot of different things that in the project gets defined in the very beginning, and then it just loses its meaning sometimes, and it leads to failure of the project. So there's a lot of times that I just find that we need to do some sanity check, and in different phases of the project too. Sometimes, I come on board or I get involved in the project very early on in the project. And sometimes I get involved like in the implementation phase or even post-implementation phase, which, it's about operationalizing the project. So for me, every time that I just get started in a project, I question everything. I do want to question everything. I just want to understand everything that we have already decided about and decided on in this project. So I just want to make sure that first of all, I understand this so I can do a proper job in the project, or whatever my role is. Usually my role is a security architect, but sometimes I just cannot even, understand why we're doing this. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we doing it some other way? Something maybe more efficient, something, different. So because a lot of times, we don't really talk about the problems. We have projects that fail, and miserably so. So based on some statistics I was I was able to gather from PMI, for example, 31% of projects don't even meet their objectives. 43% exceed their budget, and 49% were just late. So there are different things that would lead into that, right? But at any time, I think questioning it and be able to still bring some new ideas would be very helpful to these projects. And maybe they will just not fail, or if they fail, it's a good thing that they failed. And then I don't really call it a failure. I call it, seizing while it's still, worth it. So failure of IT project costs in the US alone is usually costs about $50 to $150 billion annually. And that's also by Harvard. So you can tell that this actually does happen. So the discussion today is about, first of all, identifying what the problem is. And then I will tell you how I deal with it. And so hopefully you can use them too. And then how to communicate it, how to bypass all the political issues, right? Because of course, there is a lot, of course, makes sense. So what is the problem? Again, there is a better way to do it. If we, for example, if it's a PCI project, if we eliminate or make the scope even smaller, it's better. It's a lot less cost, and it's more efficient. If the project already may be in the implementation phase, so I think that, oh yeah, there is another thing that I could do or we could do about this and we could make it better. But I don't really want to say anything because it's already in the implementation phase, and the requirements have already been gathered. All the stakeholders have signed off on it. We know exactly how we're going to do this. And now we're in implementation. So, it's just ridiculous for me to talk about any fresh ideas or something else we could do. So I'm not going to talk about it. Or I sometimes think, oh, no, it's not really my job. Like I thought the stakeholders, the project manager, and, budget experts, finance, I don't know, all of those people can actually make this decision, the go no go decision, or make the decision of how much budget we need for this. And at the very initial of the initial phases of the project, they've already gathered all that information, and based on some solid information, they made some decisions. So that's not really my job now as a security architect to go in the project and say, hey, like there's other ways, and maybe in the very beginning, if you have made something else as a requirement as well, we wouldn't be making this solution our solution. We would have a more like a smarter solution, a more efficient solution. And so again, because of that, I'm not speaking up. Or a lot of times that I'm going to talk about my example here is that we already actually bought the gear. So this example is about a company that I worked at. It was a government company, and we wanted to design and implement an unmanned, unsupervised credit card processing solution. Okay, and so there was a lot of other reasons why the team who had a security architect before me already came up with solution A. And solution A had a whole lot of PCI costs, obviously. And so when I came in, And I started asking a lot of questions because, again, I just wanted to do the proper job, right? So I asked a lot of questions and I realized that we don't have enough reason to actually start credit card processing. And also, we don't have enough reason to make all this cost for the company. So why are we doing this, right? Why are we doing this? So I came back. I went back all the way to the actual requirements we've gathered and tried to understand, okay, where is a good requirement for this? And show me. I need evidence to see that there is an actual requirement for credit card processing and an unmanned credit card processing. And but I couldn't find anything. So that was the problem. For me, it was a huge problem because, of course, I wasn't true. I couldn't be true to the solution I was implementing, although it was, it was designed by other architects before me. Um, I didn't feel that I'm doing my due diligence for the company. I didn't feel that I am being truthful to the company, to the benefit I can bring to the company. So I decided I want to dig in a little bit more. So to that end, I thought, okay, you know what? I have to go and really gather some information, some real fact, concrete fact, to make sure I'm actually right. And this is not just a hunch. So I went back to the history of the project. And mind you, this project was a 2.5-year-old project. Had a lot of problems in the course, the lifetime of the project. And because of that, there were many different security architects that came and went during the lifetime of this project. And so I went all the way back to the original requirements. And then I figured out how these requirements changed over time. Then I figured out how the design changed over time and how even PCI requirements, PCI rules changed on us a little bit over time. And as I put all of this together, I realized that yes, this isn't a hunch. This is for real. There is no real reason behind this. So then I started thinking business. I started thinking, okay, give me some numbers, give me some concrete numbers. What were we doing before this? Okay, we were processing cash, and because of that, we were losing some money. And because a lot of times we would just let the customer get the product they needed, but then because of the credit they had with us, we would charge them later. And so sometimes this was just not happening. A lot of times the charge later on wouldn't go through. So we were losing some money. But nowhere in our requirement gathering did we ever say that how much were we losing money. So I decided, okay, I'm going to dig even deeper. So I said, okay, this this was just a swag shop, let's call it that. So I said, okay, this is not our real business. This is our swag shop. So we are making good money elsewhere with our real business model, but this is just a tiny bit of revenue. So I asked, how much revenue are we making? Well, it's only about 80 grand a year. Okay, and this is a $1 billion company, 80 grand a year. I said, okay. And what is the cost of what we were doing originally, the cash, right? Cash payments or, later charges or checks and whatever. I said, okay, what is the cost of processing this today? And what I realized was mind-boggling. So there was this lady who worked at a particular site. That lady was charging, was an employee of the company, a 60 grand a year employee. That was her salary, 60 grand a year. Out of her 5 days a week, 40 hours a week time, she had to spend 10 hours a week out of her 40 hours a week. She had to spend 10 hours a week to be able to process cash. And that was it. And let's say, I was just going to say that, okay, our revenue is $80,000. I'm going to say we that's just a guess, or, an overestimated guess. I'm going to say $20,000 we are losing in revenue because of, the cash gets lost or whatever, or we can't charge them later on, the charges later on don't go through. And so, okay, let's say we are losing 20 grand. So meaning that our company could make 100 grand out of this a year, but now we're making 80 instead. And the real benefit we're getting from this swag shop is not the money. The real benefit we're getting from the swag shop is making a fan club, or we are making a community. We want to get more contributions from our fans and from our customers. Okay, so I'm thinking money, business. So, and that's when I did my sanity check, and I thought, this really doesn't make any sense. And I do see a whole bunch of people have signed off on this, and they're all very, very senior. They actually went all the way to a few of the chiefs of the company, but still didn't make any sense. And that was in my mind, was because some of these numbers that I dug up by myself were not originally discussed. And so then I started communicating it. So I started socializing it with some of my really good peers that understand business. They understand, they have business mindset. They know when to pull out the plug and say, no, this doesn't make sense, and we should just stop and absorb all the costs we had so far and just not move forward with this anymore. Right. So I started socializing, I got their ideas, and then I kept telling a whole bunch of people. I made some really good connections for this. I went, from my connection to their connection to their connection within the corporate environment. And for example, I didn't know a lot of people in finance. They put me in touch with some finance people. We talked through this. We talked through the budget, and I explained to them the whole situation, and they could understand it. They backed it up. They even told me, what other details I may need to look at before I start actually communicating it to my own chief that I was reporting to, and make it a real report. So what I did at the end was I made a PowerPoint 2-pager, kept it very, very short, and just explained what this project is, because a lot of times, the senior management may just not know. I said what the project is all about, and what's the current state, what are the problems I see today. No name calling, no nothing. We're not judging anything. What are the problems I see today? Why do I think that's a problem, right? And now, how do I think we can fix this? And I gave them a few options. Option 1 was cease and go back to cash. I mean, that was the best. And option two was, have a hybrid situation instead of and completely unmanned um, um, supervision, without supervision solution, an unmanned solution. I told them that even if you hire supervisors to supervise this shop on an ongoing basis, it's still going to cost you this much, and so this would still make sense, but the cost of the compliance cost of that unmanned solution was so high that it didn't make any sense. It would be much better to have somebody supervising the solution, and then at least have a simpler solution because of that. So I gave some options, pros and cons of the options. And again, the right content for the right audience. Numbers, 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 money, money, money. The higher up you go, the higher up you talk to, the more money you have to talk. It has to be a money discussion. And so what they decided to do at the end was to seize the project and go back to cash and cash processing. And I have to tell you that although it was tough, but I got really good feedback, even from people who, originally gathered all the requirements and originally made some comments and made the design. All of them, people. I'm talking about people who didn't pick this up before me, right? But everybody was happy at the end that there is a better solution for this now. So the conclusion is, stay business focused at all times, regardless of what your role is. Always think business, because we are here to enable the business and make sure business moves forward and makes money in a secure manner. That's all we're doing. Trust the decision makers. If they say yes to your presentation at the end, be happy. But if they say no, still it is their decision. And so try to be a team player, trust them, and move forward. Don't get stuck and say, no, this is wrong. I can't even do this. I can't even do this, blah, 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 blah. This doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, you have to make your due diligence, but it's their decision to make. It's their risk to take. But what you can do in that case is keep an eye out for any opportunities in the future where you can bring this up again and say, hey, I still think this is the case, and things may have changed by then. So that was the presentation of the day. We're going to do some live Q&A right now, and you have my contact information on the screen as well. I'll see you in a little bit. And I'm very happy to be here. Very, very happy. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.